25%.
I'm hearing echoes up from us. I'm muted. Is that muted?
Yeah, this is. Oh wait, no, it's not. I turned the volume off, but not the mic.
Okay, you can still hear us,
We're
guys?
good. Yeah.
Yeah, they can hear us.
You can see the blue
Okay,
vibration.
good call. Okay, we're good.
He said it should be red though, not green.
Our camera's over there too, so we don't want to.
Jason, red, not green.
It should be red and green. Oh, red and green.
It should
Red's
be
not
Christmas.
playing. Which should I press for red?
The record button. Red.
Yeah, we do.
Press it again. No, you all you do is tap it.
You guys can't hear this on the audience. You can't hear this, but there's a woman dying next door. Just kidding. She's trying to sing.
Is there a fourth by chance?
All right.
Okay.
What's with AirTag? Why is it asking me to AirTag?
Should be good.
Can everyone see?
I'm good.
Do we have a fourth mic for him? Or should I just kind of hold this one out?
It's fine.
That's fine.
All right.
They'll be able to hear me. I'm right in the middle.
I figured.
All right.
All right, you ready to go?
All right.
All right, so we are live in Austin. Welcome to Vibes and Ventures podcast. I'm Steve Walsh, also known as the Hands-On Angel. My buddy Rob Hughes, the Startup Alchemist, and we are joined by our boys Michael Mara, CEO of Entra, and Sean, who is all things back office, platform, make sure our pod goes off without a hitch. And when I can't fucking get it right, he just fixes everything. It's awesome. So, fellas, thanks for joining us.
Of course.
He's a 5-tool player.
This is cool.
He is a 5'2" guy, and
guy.
we wanted today to be special for a couple reasons. We are streaming live on Entra like we do every week and simultaneously recording this to cut it up into shorts. So this is a first for us. Is this a first for Entra?
I don't think we've had live plus recorded. We've done a couple things like this, but not to this extent. So
All right.
it's exciting.
Yeah, and for the audience too, this is our 5th pod of the day or 4th?
This is our 5th of the day.
Okay, and this is our first time Steve and I have recorded together in person, so it's been really fun.
It's always been live on Entra. Now it's live on Entra and in
I'm
person.
going to I'll send a push notification real quick to everybody.
Yeah, push it out.
Guys, in the chat, if you guys have questions, drop them in the chat. We have the laptop here, so we can answer questions as well live from the audience too. Let me get this going as well.
So this is here's my front and center. It's
Dude, Steve's the hands-on angel, but Michael's the hands-on CEO.
That's it. He does all everything required.
I do actually want to do one of my 3 things.
Okay.
While we're getting going, because I know the structures we always do our 3 things, and there were a couple of them that I bookmarked for this week that I thought were particularly interesting. One of the first one I'm going to go into, even though you're not asking me to.
I love it. Go live. My 2 things. What do we got?
So the first one is this statistic coming out of the Wall Street Journal that the top 10% of earners in the United States now account for 49.7% of all spending. So almost 50% of all the spend is happening from the top 10% of earners.
That's insane.
It's always been a little tilted that way, but
It used to be like top 20.
Yeah, it's getting condensed.
The rich get richer.
Yeah, they're the ones spending now, so they're not saving or investing; they're spending because spend overall is up.
Right.
So that's definitely a little bit of a concerning signal.
I think so.
That you can't really ignore that. It's like 50, almost 50, just about like what's 3 basis points? It's 50%.
It's 50% of the spend is coming from 10% of the people.
That's too much.
But isn't it typically 80% of the productivity comes from 20%? So it's tracking. Would you say that, like you said, in a company in general, 80% of the work gets done by 20% of the people in most cases. So in this case, 50% of the spend gets done by 10%.
Yeah.
Interesting.
They're saying the audio is low, so Randy will try to do a better job talking so you can hear us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Michael almost knocking shit over. Fine.
Good.
Michael, friend of the pod.
Michael.
Friend of the pod.
There was also this really interesting statistic. Again, Peter Walker. If you've been watching the show, then you know how much I love Peter and his data. I actually got to see him in person last week in Boston do his presentation, which is basically just him doing a live version of what he does on Twitter and what he does on X and what he does on LinkedIn, data analytics and visualization. He did it live. It was like an hour long of him just talking about data. 50% of founders don't buy their vested employee stock options.
Really?
Yeah, from all
Seriously?
their data, 50% of stock options that that are fully vested do not get activated. So early employees are not buying their stock options in many cases.
Why? What's driving it?
It's expensive, and ultimately, if you're leaving a company, you don't believe in that company enough to want to think that the stock is worthwhile. And so he's like, mostly they're making a good decision, I think, but it's that's a big chunk of equity that's available, but they aren't exercising it.
Interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
That's a
They're
weird.
leaving it on the table.
They're leaving it on the table, but they're like, hey, I don't want to put 15 grand to buy these options
Right.
and I don't believe in the company enough to like.
I just had to hit record because what Ray is wearing is total fire right now.
Oh my god.
Ray has got the Mother Teresa look. Our film crew has got the Mother Teresa look as he sits and basks in the sun. Dude, I'm hot.
It's starting to get hot.
By the way, Ray, I have three words that'll help you just refine how to not be hot. Stop wearing black. Okay, Ray, not in the middle of a sunstorm. It's not a sunstorm. Boys, how are we liking the meta glasses? We got filming going with the cameras, but also with meta right now. What do you think? Little Ray-Ban?
It's cool.
Yeah,
Not
honestly,
bad.
you gotta
Not
get us
sponsors, and as we always say, yes.
Yet.
But they will be sponsors.
They won't be. After last night, I think more people are going to want to be involved in what we're doing. I'm just reaching. I'm just saying.
Reaching. I don't think it's that big of a reach though. It's pretty magical. And then the last one was Eric Bond, who's a venture capitalist out of Silicon Valley. He posted about this idea of seedscaping. So this idea of raising less money but being able to go a lot further with it.
Yeah.
He's seeing a big trend of that. So leveraging AI for capital efficiency and starting and scaling your business. So it's this new trend of like, hey, you can raise smaller amount of money and make it go further. It's a capital efficiency. I think it's a part of this trend we've been talking about
For sure.
since the beginning of the pod, which is the venture game is changing.
Yeah.
How you build a company is changing.
Very much
And
so.
now we're starting to see it as like a sort of investors are behaving in a different way now too. It's like, hey, we gotta get returns out. We can't just put a bunch of money into a
You know
company.
what? I'm just realizing because
What?
I'm recording this right now on the glasses.
Hmm.
This is just going to be a gigantic head of Rob, almost like Mount Rushmore. It's going to be in the view.
You know what?
When we use this content.
I'm here
It's
for it.
Fucking
I'm
awesome.
here for
I'm
it.
here for it. I'll know all the flaws in my face. You can look at Michael.
It'll
from
be
time to
good.
time,
That
too.
camera's gonna be the main one.
It is. It is.
So we'll be good. We'll be good.
All
I'm
right.
not afraid of it.
So that was that. Those were two things from
Those
my
are
three.
three.
things. You
I
did all
the
three.
Economics. I did the buying of stock options by employees that are fully vested, 50%. Both of those were 50% stats.
That's
by the
pretty
way.
good, actually.
50-50. We should have called the segment. And then the last one was raising less money.
All right, so I had no prep for this, which we normally do during my gym time, which we did not have today because we were too hungover.
We recorded a pod during your gym.
We
time.
did record a pod during the gym time.
On
And
the elliptical?
no,
No.
we were
That
so
would have been a good one though.
No, we were
with the Ray-Bans just back and forth.
we were so hungover from last night. We just literally we got to right into recording this morning.
No,
So
our first guest got here at 8.
he was early. He was on his way to the
He was
airport.
here before 8.
Is there anything
crazy.
better than an Englishman with a great accent?
No.
It was fantastic. It was fantastic. I'm going right into it right now.
Are you right?
It was going right into it. It's great. Over from the pond,
He's
building
just-
building connected. We bring founders and funders together. Fractionalization is huge. It's huge, Rob.
crushed.
It was
So
he
good.
crushed. He had
It's
to,
actually a really
gentlemen.
good
I've got to
accent.
go. I've got to go get a flight. I'm going to New York.
He
We'll see
literally,
you all.
like, he couldn't have been better. He just came in. He's like, I have a 45-minute block.
Yeah.
And like, before I go to the airport, I'd love to come.
I
if
love
you
the whole
want me.
conversation about
Yes.
his wardrobe, where every time you see Roy, black T-shirt, black jeans, black shoes, and that's all he wears. He has 150 black T-shirts. Who the fuck
150.
buys 150 black T-shirts? Sorry. Hey, how's it going? Hey, Mother
Who the
Teresa.
fuck buys 150 back?
Ray over there just trying to pull it
I'm
down.
in. I'm in.
I brought a gray.
Can we just talk about how tight Ray's game was last
Oh
night
my god.
on the mic and on the turntable? It was,
Yeah.
but it was just so awesome. And the fact everybody's like in a business event and Ray's up there, he's got the shades on, he's dancing, all kinds of shit. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Bringing the vibes.
He is bringing the vibes. Once people find out about him, we're not going to be able to keep him.
All right, so my three things. See, this is on the off the cuff
Off
and on
the
the
cuff.
play. It's okay, but so based on last night, things are always better when you do it with friends.
Oh,
That's
That's
my
a good
takeaway
one.
from last night. Is I did a call with my wife, and she said, "How you feeling?" I go, "I am exhausted, I am sore, I am humble, and I'm happy." And I said, the best thing for me about last night was that I get to do it with people that I not only like, people that I love. And all the sponsors we had, the VCs, the partners like Entre we get to do it with, these are just people that I generally love spending time with.
Yeah.
And I came away going, things are just better when you do it with friends.
Yeah.
They just are. And I would consider that group we had last night just a group of overwhelmingly wonderful friends. So that's my first one. The other one is the conversation we had with your wife, which was we had like a calamity of errors last night of just shit that just went wrong. We had elevators going down. We had some founders showing up an hour and a half early, some not showing up at all, VCs in the wrong elevator, elevators breaking. It was like bedlam.
Yeah.
And we just plowed through. And the event went off, and it was huge. People had a great time. And we're talking to Rob's wife on the way home. And he's like, imagine what's going to happen when Steve and I get our shit together and know how to do this. It's going to
Imagine
crush.
How great this is going to be.
Imagine how great this is going to
I mean,
be.
that's what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, so I think that's the second takeaway for me is, and it felt like founder mode for us because as a founder, and I'd love Michael's take on this, you never know what's coming up next.
Yeah.
Every day is different, and you just have to problem solve, move on, and get the ball down the field. And it felt like that last night. It was almost like a just that experience for me last night, but you live that every day.
100%. And that's why I like being an entrepreneur and a founder is I can't do the same thing every day.
Yeah.
So I
Variety is
like
the spice
it.
of life. Keeps
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not for everybody.
And you got Sean, so when things go wrong, you just get to
100%.
Sean. Like, Sean,
Exactly.
fix it. He's like, I got some
Exactly.
duct tape and some
It's
chewing
Well,
gum.
now
That's
we're-
about how it goes.
now we're at the
That's
point-
how it goes.
Well, now we're at the point too where he's just intuitively doing stuff.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? So like
yeah, that's the best.
when I see the threads with you guys, I'm like, Sean's got this.
Yes.
I'm like checking in, but
Yeah.
I'm like,
Nah.
we're good. They'll get what they need. Sean will take care
Oh, if
of
there's
it.
an issue, he'll know. But
And then-
What,
outside
what
of
yeah.
that,
a crazy unlock to have such a good person on your team that you just have so much trust in. And you got
100%.
so much confidence that you can just move forward like they got it.
And did you
Exactly.
tell
Oh,
me
that's actually what we did too.
What?
A lot of that.
what,
What he just said, like he knows Sean has the thing.
Oh, yeah.
that you got, it's like he'll do that, I'll do this. Same thing that we did for this whole event.
we did. We just know each other has strengths, and we play to those strengths. And there are certain things that he crushes at that I don't, and vice versa. And
Yeah.
that's why it works.
Yeah.
You mentioned to me
Exactly.
last night. He's been working for you with you for a while, starting as an intern.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
insane.
yeah.
What a great
What were you
hire.
like 12?
Oh my God.
basically.
20.
What are you like now,
You're 21
15?
or are you
No.
20?
I just turned 20.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Really?
Wait.
It was not even legal.
Not even
We had
legal.
to sneak him into the bars when we would do events.
Because most of your events involve alcohol.
But he was like,
yes.
I mean, he was like working there. He'd have like the badge and stuff on. So it was
Right.
like, you know,
It's
it was
acceptable.
chill.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's
Exactly.
incredible. There was something that you sparked in my head and I lost it though. What was the thread you started with Michael on with that? You started with Great Pete. What was the lead up to this when you asked him a question?
Oh,
Like trusting people.
before that.
Working with
Rewind.
friends was his first point.
Working with friends was the second
oh,
one.
things are better when you work with friends.
That was the first one. The second one was
And-
what imagine how good when we get.
Imagine what's going to happen when
Yeah.
we get good at this.
Yeah, it'll come back to me eventually.
Yeah.
But it's all. Yeah, it was a big learning experience for sure, and then we got to do it
The last
together.
one for me, my three things, and it comes out of last night.
Huh.
As much work as we put in, as great as it was, I walked away going, this is only the beginning
Yeah,
of what we're going to do.
Sure.
Like the next 2 or 3 events, we've already got New York. We'll start planning for New York today.
today.
Then we're going to go to LA. Then we're going to go to Miami. This is only the beginning. And it's not about these events getting bigger. It's about these events getting
I have it.
better.
I got it. I got it.
And we're back.
Okay, so the mindset. So the mindset. I saw this. It was a
Steve, good 3 things. Shut the fuck up. I have mine.
Yeah.
No, that's how we do.
Hey, I remember what I was saying. Yours is irrelevant.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to listen.
Steve, really good. Friends are better. Who gives a shit? Anyways,
Let me mansplain my points back. There was a
great. Put more black on. That's good.
There was an ultra marathon, and he was doing an interview, and he said most people when they're doing an ultra or any type of endurance sport, they stop because they aren't expecting it to get tough, and so when it gets tough, they make a choice at that point whether to continue or not. He
Right.
said mindset wise, he said I'm always in the point of like I know the pain is coming, and so when it comes, I'm expecting it. And so, like, I know it's going to come. It's inevitable it's going to come.
Right.
And it reminds me, like, what we said driving over there. I was like, guys, things are going to go nuts. At some point tonight, probably almost right away. And it did. In fact, it happened.
It went
before the event
nuts
off.
right away.
I said, I said, there's going to be things that come up that we're just going to have to deal with, but we have everything we need to be able to problem solve on the spot and have a wonderful event. So expect for things to go off the rails and just deal with it. And so it's a mindset thing. Founders that think nothing's going to go wrong, you're crazy. There's going to be so many things that go wrong. And if you're expecting it, you're just in a better mindset to deal with it versus I'm shocked that something went wrong. Why are you shocked?
Yeah.
It's going to go wrong.
100%.
Like, you know, something unexpected is going to happen. So just be ready for it.
The other thing I took away, and it happens every day when you're a founder or working with founders, failure is part of the process.
Oh, yeah.
It just is. And we failed a lot leading up to this event, and the event still went off. And the reason it works is because we understand that those failures give us great learnings. Because we said it last night over like the third tequila. There's like 9 things we would do so differently for this next event to make sure that it goes off even better. And it's still crushed. Yeah. So that's the thing.
Do you know what amazing thing is? The only ones that felt the pain were you and I. And so we were like, holy
I was
cow.
in a really bad spot. Like when Rob just like randomly started grabbing people out of the VC, is like, let me give you some feedback. Rob's like, no, you're done. Come on. Start yanking people out of it. He's like, Steve, get the next people in line. Get on that mic. We didn't leverage Ray enough last night, but that was the thing.
It's because we're
Ray has the mics in front of him. He's ready to go. This is what he does. And you and I are like fucking JoJo, the idiot circus boy, grabbing the mic. Hey, Wang, how's it going? What's good? And Ray's like, you know this is what I do.
Because we're
Not
jealous.
to mention the fact he has the best voice
That's what it
ever.
is.
The
We don't
Barry
want-
White. Hello, table 22. Your table's ready.
Yeah, his voice is so sultry. Like
It's so great.
We just had so much jealousy of his voice. Like, we can't let him.
And Ray's like,
Gonna steal the show.
of
Oh my
course,
God,
Ray's
so
going,
shocked.
hey, morons, you know you flew me down here to do this shit, and now you're taking my juice. What's going on?
Oh, my
Yeah.
God.
Did you notice I got better sunglasses and I'm in all black?
Oh my God! Have you seen me? Have you heard me?
Have you heard me?
Have
Have
you
you seen it?
Do you feel the vibe I set with this music? Like you were everything. And we're like, no, you can't announce things though.
I love how you would throw the scratch in a little bit, little daps. It was just situationally, it was fine.
It was incredible. He's like,
I got bored.
he's like, I'm sick of all the working. I'm ready for some twerking.
That's a hashtag.
That's
Yeah,
That's a
I'm
hashtag.
just a one-liner. That's all my.
So typically
all I
on the
do.
Vibes and Ventures podcast, as we're going, we're like, that's a tweet. I'm like, hang on, and I'm like doing the tweets while we're on the pod simultaneously.
Yes, you did that a couple times.
I did it this morning. We're looking at like 3 or 4 of
Roy
them.
was like, he actually tweeted.
He's like,
that?
Oh yeah, no.
Is it, what's going on? Is he tweeting?
Yeah, he's
That's
tweeting.
fantastic.
Be cool, bro.
We're like, Roy, just keep talking. We're more black. Anyways,
So about 6% of your tweets are my thoughts.
they are.
That's a scary
And now I
thing.
start giving him hashtag or credits in the tweet that it came from him. He's like,
Yeah.
dude, this is awesome. We crush.
Yeah. The other incredible thing is I'm pretty sure we're like as we get better at this, that the end result for founders is going to get just significantly better.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Like, it's just going to be really, really hard to not come to that.
And we have an auspicious goal of how do we make this to the point where we're not only inviting founders and we don't want to charge founders at all.
How do we give them money?
How do we give money?
Yeah.
How do we come out and say, what if we gave the best pitch 10 grand? What if we gave them 25 grand? What if we gave 100 grand
Yeah.
to the best
What if we give
pitch?
them $1 million?
What would that look like? And it's a big goal, but I think when you do something like this, you want people to walk away feeling good. You want them to have a holy shit moment.
Yeah.
And we think if we're able to now bring prize money to this,
Yeah.
with no string
That'd
attached to
be
the
great.
the founders,
Yeah.
no equity, we don't want equity,
No.
it's non-dilutive.
Yeah.
We just think this will absolutely take off and
Yeah.
crush.
100%. We do have a question here from Sheetal on Entra. When investors are cross borders, in-person meetings is difficult. Okay, here we go. Sorry, I missed this first one. How to approach investors to raise funds? What are the sources to reach them? It looks like she's also talking about across different countries and stuff.
So like a founder in LATAM that wants to raise from the US
Yes,
type thing.
something like that.
We were talking about this earlier when we had you on for our one pod without you, Sean.
Yes,
Which
sorry.
we were trying to get you out, but you had
You were too busy getting dressed.
I mean, you
Yeah,
looked
you know me.
incredible. He was
Steve
problem
Austin.
solving. He was doing a little
He was
problem solving.
problem solver.
We talked about this, and it's like create a big enough signal that they're reaching out to you.
Right.
And if that signal's strong enough, the right investor will find you. And if you're not getting that attention, then get back to business.
Right.
That means you're not doing something at a velocity that requires their input, especially of capital.
Well, and the interesting thing is, in this day and age, even though I live in Boston and I do some Boston meetings with founders, very rarely will I do a first meeting in person. It's
Yeah.
just not efficient.
Yeah.
Even if someone's
sure.
a half an hour for me, I'm like,
Yeah.
look, let's do a 30-minute Zoom,
Yeah.
and all we're going to do is figure out if there's something
Camera
worth
on.
talking about.
Gotta have the camera on.
Camera on.
Yeah.
Let's figure out this, and then we can go get coffee, a beer,
Yeah.
a lunch. I don't care. So if you're trying to raise money internationally, the benefit post-COVID, we talked about COVID earlier, the benefit post-COVID is that I'd say 75% to 80% of first meetings with any investor are happening virtually and digitally.
Yeah. I would even say more than that.
Yeah.
to be
For
honest.
me, it's like 95%.
They go to
Yeah.
they go to like it's their first act of due diligence to meet them in person.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
it's like, oh, okay, like now let's meet in person. I think it's worthwhile.
Yeah. So if you are trying to raise internationally, leverage those assets, use platforms like LinkedIn, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, wherever you hang out. I can tell you, if you're looking for investors, they hang out in two places. They're on LinkedIn and they're on Twitter.
Yeah.
LinkedIn to build their brand, Twitter to actually do the communication. If you want to get an investor to pay attention, start following their content, liking it, reposting, and tweeting about it.
Or
Yeah.
come to our events.
Or
Or come to
just come to an entre event. That's it.
Or come
an
to our
Ultra
events.
event,
Yeah.
go to a connected event, go to a pitch lift.
You got it right.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of investors who are writing newsletters and stuff like that now.
Yeah.
If you share an email or send an email to them about something that they wrote about, blog, stuff like that, they will be much more inclined to respond. The other thing is I would target there's a lot of VCs and investors that do specifically focus on international founders and things like that. So
Yeah. It's
you're
like
going to waste your time talking to like solely domestic investors because immediately they're not going to be, it's not part of their thesis,
Right.
and it's not part of their fund requirements. So make sure you're getting a list of those specific investors that are in your industry plus also interested in that sort of thing. But I know a lot of international founders that they set up a U.S. company, Delaware C Corp, from abroad, and then they'll come to mainly the Bay Area for like 3 months
Yeah.
to raise specifically.
I've seen that happen a lot.
And they have the product going, they have some users and customers already and some traction, and they go to the Bay Area to actually raise the funds and do some virtual stuff,
Or New
obviously,
York or whatever.
and then carve out a couple months or 3 months or whatever you can, and then come to whatever area is easiest for you to be in, primarily New York or the Bay Area.
Yeah.
And try to get as many meetings lined up as you possibly can there.
Yeah.
I want to take a crack at this question
Go
from
ahead.
Abdul. It said, could you suggest which are the best travel tech VC firms in the U.S.? And I'm not going to name drop them. I'm going to give you something a little bit better than that. Find a travel tech company that you know that's and has raised a bunch of money,
Yep.
and then look at who their investors are, and you're halfway there.
Look at Crunchbase.
Yep.
Look at Signal.
Yeah.
You can literally, in 5 minutes, with a little bit of work, figure out who they raise from, when they raise, how much they raise.
Yep.
And then here's another novel concept.
Yeah.
Reach out to the founder.
Yeah.
What was it like to raise? How did you find XYZ fund? Do you know anyone there? Could I forward you my deck? Would you be willing to give me some feedback on my deck? Feedback
Yeah.
is a gift.
Yeah.
Use it. Entrepreneurs want to help other entrepreneurs. This guy built a platform to do nothing but help entrepreneurs connect.
So we're biased a little bit there.
But that's Rob. That's the way it's done,
Yeah.
and that'll be more valuable to you than just coldly doing a search of VCs from the travel tech industry and just reaching out to
100%.
them. That is the new age way to raise venture.
I literally did that exact thing.
Yeah.
I made a Airtable. All of our I would say not necessarily competitors, but
But in the same
Adjacent
category,
Co-opetition type
Yes.
stuff. Great
same
word, by the way.
category,
Yeah.
Crunchbase.
Wrong one.
Looked up all the people that they raised money from, and then there was all of the people that are interested in that type of business or that category,
Absolutely.
and at that stage as well. And then I reached out to all of those companies.
So number one, see who has invested in that type of company before. And then two, what we need you to do is we have a little audio thing here. Kill that, babe. Number two is once you find those firms, go to those portfolio companies and start reaching out to them, start to build friendships. Portco intros from founders that are already been invested in are
Yes.
like the number one
Yeah.
way that VC
It's a
funds
total
invest.
unlock.
And so it's like, don't go straight for the thing. Go for the thing that'll get you where you want to go.
And that little bit of extra work to take that extra step
Yeah.
will mean the ones that you get introduced to will be so much better.
Yeah. You got to think of no's. We were talking about, Sean and I were talking about, he's into the rodeo scene. And we were talking about like,
Rodeo,
Some PBR.
hunting, apparently track,
right.
track and field.
We were talking about like how violent it is on your body and like, hey, you can't take back that damage. That's not like, it doesn't come back like health bars in a video game. That's for life, right? You know, your spine gets compressed. It's not decompressing here. The same thing is true of like founders getting a no. And so you got to think strategically, how many no's do I have before I give up?
Yeah.
If you're a founder, a lot.
Yeah. And hopefully if you're a founder, that's a high number.
High bar.
But even then, don't take like no's for no reason. Take a no for a reason. And by the way, even just cold blasting out an email, like that's a soft no. You're in the back of your head, you're taking a no.
Right.
So don't do that. Like be smart about it. Like protect yourself, protect your ego, protect your ability to keep going by not making a bad decision and like, I want to just cold prospects. Like you're getting those.
If anyone in the audience has a question, that was great from Abdul.
Yeah.
Thank you. Just throw it into the chat. We've got venture capitalists here, banking here represented, a founder that's built a multi-million-dollar company. He's raised millions of dollars. Like a lot of experience here just on the startup ecosystem. So happy to help in any way. And this is sort of unique for us because one, we never get to do it live.
Yeah.
We're in Austin. And we get Michael and Sean on the pod with us, which is
Unbelievable.
sick.
What, have you guys done a live one together?
This is the first time ever
Yeah,
today.
yeah.
Okay.
Today was the first
This
time.
is it.
Yeah.
That's
great.
great.
And we live in Boston.
Yeah,
That's
that's
hilarious.
wild.
We
That's
just-
actually hilarious.
Yeah. It's just how it is. We were like, we knew when we came here, we're like, we want to film a bunch of these episodes together. And then we wanted to broadcast one.
You
live.
notice the camera crew, like every time we look over, they have less clothes on. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Dude,
It's I like Ray.
I was gonna say Ray even went in. He got
Ray,
self-conscious.
I like the drip, man. It's good.
Ray, you got to come on camera right quick.
Yeah.
And
Just
Jason
so
looks
everybody-
like he's going to
Let's
Ibiza
see.
right now. Ray's got the drip going.
If we keep this pod going for long enough, they're going to be naked. All right, incentive to make the pod go longer.
Yeah.
Ask those questions, folks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible.
That's
It's
No,
like-
one of the things that I really like that you guys brought up, literally speaking about yourselves, that I think a lot of founders kind of have a hard time getting to, is making themselves uncomfortable. Like you guys ran into failures because
yeah.
you guys put yourself in a spot that was going to make you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so many founders run into this wall where it's like, eh,
They don't want to do.
Yeah.
you know.
They're afraid. They're
and,
afraid.
and like that's one of the things.
It's
that
okay to be afraid.
That's one of the things like I absolutely love about Michael. Like we get into these events, and it feels like it's just he's winging it. And frankly, that's to a degree. When obviously we got back into it, that's kind of how it was. Like
Right.
we don't know how things are going to be after COVID.
Yeah.
Like let's just test the water, see how it goes, and now we're here. You know.
Yeah.
Mongo Smash, great question. How long should you wait for an answer from a VC? If they're kicking the tires on a project forever, waiting for something to happen, what does that mean for the company? Go ahead. Go on.
Okay, so if they're not offering you a term sheet, it's a soft no. And so what I
Or
mean,
not now.
not now, but that's also a signal. Like, so there's no incentive for a VC to ever tell you no. If you start getting traction, if something changes, if you have a breakthrough, if another investor that they admire is suddenly interested and gets on the cap table and like wants to lead the round, then they have a signal that they want to follow and they want to put money into you.
Yeah.
If they tell you no, all those opportunities go away. So it's only downside for them to say no to you. So what they'll want to do is the soft no of like, oh yeah, well, keep us in the loop. put
Keep us
the
on your
newsletter.
update.
Yeah, and by all means do it. That means they're not completely closed off to it, but don't count on them as like, hey, they're in my pipe. They're probably going to come through.
Right.
It's almost certainly not the case.
So
you've
I
got
wrote
a soft no.
a newsletter on this. By the way, I am an investor with a newsletter, Fundraising Fast Track. Love
Yes.
it. Has been shared on Entre, just saying. And the title of it was Fast No's Are the Best.
Yeah,
and I know
for sure.
no is usually something that a founder doesn't want to hear. I would argue that a fast no is actually a gift because
Can be, yeah.
fast no's lead you to the next yes. The
Yeah.
worst is a slow maybe. Slow maybes are the absolute worst. And one of my favorite phrases from my sales days is time kills all deals.
Yes.
time kills all deals. If you are engaged actively with a fund or a VC and you're at month 3, month 4, and nothing has happened, I can assure you that the propensity for something to happen is going to be extremely low at that point. If they're interested, they're going to move on it quickly. Almost every founder I know that has gotten to a yes, the early signal was very fast.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's like you got friend zoned. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they're okay with you. They don't hate you, but like they're not going to date you. They're
Yeah.
certainly not going to put a ring on it and marry you. So just realize like, okay, I got like a lukewarm response. Okay. And you have to be really honest with yourself about that. Like I didn't go well enough to get a yes. And like, that's okay. There was a co-working space pre-pandemic that had like 60 or 65 seed stage companies in there. Incredible space. And they did a survey, and they found their founders, on average, it took them 50 pitches before they got their pitch.
Okay.
Okay, so they had 50 investor meetings before they're like, oh, I got it. Here's actually how I position it. Here's how I would do it.
Yeah.
And so like, it's like, just realize this is
reps.
work. Yes,
It is reps at the plate.
100%.
So we have time for probably one more question from the
Yeah.
audience. If you have a question for either Michael, Sean, Rob, or I, just throw it into the room chat. We're happy to answer it. It's kind of a unique experience for us to be able to do this live. And we usually do not take audience questions. This is even more fun.
Yeah.
today.
Interesting.
I mean, you know what's great is you did your My Three Things was literally how long it takes us to establish them. Because we're just thinking about them and they're in the background, and then we
so
just
true.
bring them forward.
But you know what we do? We workshop.
Sometimes it's like, I'm doing these are great. I'm doing these. Like, you can't talk about that.
Yeah, that one's not going to work well.
You know, I kind of want to follow up though. You guys said, you know, the soulmate. Like, what would that time limit be then? As a founder, it's like if you had to put a number on it, right? You're trying to get to that 50, whatever it may be. Like, how long are you willing to wait? What would you guys say?
So, yeah. So, I mean, from my experience, pretty much every investor that I've closed, it happened probably within a month.
Yeah.
Roughly.
Yep.
30 to 45 days. A month and a half. Like from
it.
meeting them to like the money in the bank, it was probably around a month. Pretty much anyone that I had conversations with where it was like multiple meetings, back and forths over a couple months, they never ended up closing.
Yeah.
And the worst are the ones that do 12 meetings with them.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is, you know, you want investors that have like as a founder, you want also investors on board that have conviction about what you're doing.
And they have
So
conviction
you
about
want
you.
them, you want them to also commit quickly, because if they don't, then it's like, well, they actually aren't 100% in on this. They don't know for sure.
At
Right?
the earliest stage, it really is like their confidence level in you as a person and team to execute, and they have a high level of conviction about the problem you're solving. And so if you don't have that's literally all it is in the beginning. Like that's it. Either think you're the person to do it, and the thing you're doing is venture scalable.
Yeah.
Cool. Like let's give them a check and let them run. And if not, like no big deal. I just think
MBG.
I honestly think like most of the time, like founders are wasting their time talking to investors. Like just
Or the wrong
build a
type of
company.
investors, or too early, the wrong stage.
100%.
I've
Yeah.
been saying, I don't know if this is good advice. You're actually two of the perfect people to talk about it. And Sean, you can feel free, but you raised how much money for founders?
1.2 billion.
All right. And how much money have you raised?
2 million.
Okay. So experience. I've often told founders to have a time frame where you're fundraising.
Yes.
And say, here's the date that we're closing on, and and work backwards from there, and then put all your meetings inside of a time frame that's very
Create
condensed.
FOMO.
Not just that, the repetitions very closely stacked together.
Yes.
You're gonna get better at pitching your company because you're learning faster. You
100%.
space those out over 3 months. Like there's no you might learn it, you might not. You're gonna forget things. You condense all those. It gives you a lot more opportunity to learn and get better and iterate faster. So put it into a small time zone.
Sure.
And also, you send an investor like, can you meet me then? You're like, yes, I'd love to meet you then, sir. Yes, please. Like, what are you doing? No, I have this window and this window. Sorry, I'm meeting with this fund now and that fund then.
Dude, the voice
When-
inflection
when do
is
you-
everything.
when do you want to get in? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, just
For sure.
like, and I have these 2 weeks. That's all I'm meeting with investors. Because guess what? If it doesn't work, you can get back to business. When you're doing investor calls, your company isn't growing.
Right.
Your brand isn't growing. Your customer base isn't growing. You basically halted the progress of your company to get investor dollars in. So you have to be strategic about it and say, here's my window, fit it all in there. Here's the stop date, and then how much money we want to close at what day.
The caffeine has kicked in.
Right.
Rip, it's drinking more.
I'm drinking more.
Excellent. So we have a question from Abdul.
Yeah.
How can a founder negotiate with an investor? And as a founder, I'm struggling to find investors. How can I solve this problem? So, from a negotiation perspective, remember, I'm betting on you and interviewing you to be one of my portfolio companies. But this is a two-way street. You have to want the investor to be an investor, and you have to be comfortable with the deal. And you can negotiate. Just because an investor says, I want a discount on your safe, or the investor wants pro rata rights, most favored nation rights, whatever they're going to ask for, you can say no. Ultimately, it is your company, and you control the shots. Now, they don't have to write you a check based on that. Yeah. So what you want to do is you want to incentivize your investors to make them feel like they're getting a good deal in an early stage company without them being predatory and taking more than that's appropriate. Would you agree, Michael?
Yeah, 100%. The other thing that I've done as well, and Steve is kind of part of this, is especially at the earlier stages, the best way is to have the same terms for all of your investors, number one. And then that also helps you negotiate easier, because if they ask for different terms, then you can say, I want to be fair to our earliest investors. I want to be fair to all of our investors, so that everything is fair, everyone has the same terms, and everyone's invested at the same valuation. However, if you think that this person can be an advisor or can help as well, what you can do is offer them advisory shares, so they are directly on the cap table, even outside of the investment side of things. And that also gives them another incentive to be, more actively involved, or could also help them get over the threshold of investing, because it's okay, well, they're giving me equity, direct equity as well, advisory shares, plus my investment piece. So now I'm kind of double dipping a little bit.
Yep.
And it makes it a no-brainer for the investors, if they're interested at that point, to get them over the hump. But it keeps the valuation the same. It keeps all the other investors at the same
and you want to make sure that those, whatever you offer them, it has a vesting schedule. Don't 100%. Just give it to them up front. Make them earn it over time. 100%. At least most cases, we did, a 2 year. I think we did for most of our advisors. I think, and same thing with you. We usually do the same thing, where it's usually a 3 to 6 month cliff for advisors. It's different for employees. I think for Sean it's a year. Usually it's a year 1 year
for
cliff
employees.
For employees. Yeah.
Usually 3 or 6 months for advisors, and then so they start getting some equity after 3 or 6 months, and then it's over a 2 year fully vested schedule. So after the third month, then they start getting increments over the next 2 years for the rest of the equity. So if things don't go well, which I've had happen as well with plenty of people, is you have an agreement with them, you think things are going to go well, you start working with them, and it's well, you're actually not doing anything. So now let's basically cancel this agreement. Yeah. And
for me, it always made me want to work harder for you. It just did. We had aligned incentives from day one.
For sure.
We worked towards the same goal. I was not only an advisor to you, I put my own capital up into the company. And I felt like my mission, including what we're doing here, is to help you be wildly successful. And if I do that, then you'll do your job, which is make this company work.
I want to double click on something, because I'm seeing in the comment that the question Abdul asked, it's you're 2 years in and you're having trouble meeting investors. I think at that point, in my mind, I'm going to just shamelessly plug Steve here. Find a Steve that will go fundraise for you. I have a sneaking suspicion that you're probably don't have a network that allows you to get in front of the right people. And so if you're 2 years in and you're struggling to meet investors, you might want to outsource the fundraise, because building up a network at that point, when you're 2 years in, you're not going to be able to do it. And so and if someone like Steve, that if you reached out and said, hey, how could we do this? If they're hey, I don't think I can help you raise the money, then you kind of have to make a decision at that point, hey, I might have to turn on revenue streams. I got to figure out how to bootstrap this thing, or change something about what I'm doing so that it becomes venture scalable. And not every business needs venture capital, but you have to be very honest about that, because otherwise you will kill your company chasing in capital.
Plus, at the same time, I've seen great founders that are great founders. They know how to generate sales and revenue. They just don't know how to fundraise because they've never done it. They don't have the network. They don't understand how to present themselves. They can sell the shit out of their product,
Yes.
but they don't know how to present their company to an investor.
Yes.
That's a very different skill set. So that's another big piece of this. I have a ton of portfolio companies that crush as founders, but the investing part was just really hard for them because they didn't know where to start.
Or again, or it could be a network effect.
Yes.
You don't have enough founder friends that have gotten investments, that you can't get those warm intros. Maybe you just moved to an area. Maybe you're in a part of the country that doesn't have a lot of venture money, and so it's harder for you at arm's length to build those connections. Again, using an Entre can help you build out that network virtually and try to get it together in person with those people to bond those relationships. But if you're in a crunch, you're saying, I'm 2 years in, I need to raise a round, blah, blah, blah. You might, I would outsource it. I honestly would just call Steve and be like, hey, here's what I'm doing. Do you think I have a shot at doing that?
Thank you for the plug, my
Yeah.
friend.
That's
Right, so-
he did not ask me to do that.
So
by the way.
speaking of plugs, these guys, we were here doing an event that these guys were at last night. They are doing an event tomorrow night. You want to tell people about it?
Yeah. So rooftop tech mixer at the WeWork downtown Austin. It's going to be a lot.
It's gonna be a lot.
There's going to be like
Well
probably
said.
at least 200 founders and investors there. It'll be a lot of fun. Drinks, food. We have a professional headshots company coming.
Love it.
Sick.
These guys will be there. There'll be a lot of cool people there. So
I'm
we're
excited
excited
for the,
about it.
And if it works, it was your idea.
And
And if
we
it
have
Hey,
doesn't,
new
it was Sean's.
headshots.
We have an
We
automatic.
talked about this last
We
night.
did.
Yeah.
We have,
Done.
we have
Coming-
an
coming to
automatic
you.
cocktail company coming.
It's
It's
pretty
like
sick.
touch screen. You pick what you want,
Oh,
and then
that's
it
dope.
spits it out in like 2
I'm
seconds.
kind of excited for this. I saw pictures of the.
So if it
last
works
Yeah.
well, it was your idea, and if it sucks, it's Sean.
They've come to a few of our events.
Yeah.
And they always crush it.
They
Oh,
crush
really?
it.
But
Can we get him
it's
from New
never
York?
Sean's fault.
Can we get him from New York?
Can we get him?
Can we get him from New York?
We could, yes.
Not a bad
It's a
idea.
little tricky just because they have to transport. It's like
Oh, it's a machine.
It's a
Right.
machine.
Where are they based?
But here,
Okay.
so they're
wow.
they're
Never mind.
trying to get
Cancel.
into venues and all that. They're also selling it as like to consumers too.
We'll
Have
do it
in their
next time we
house.
do Austin.
But
Except
yeah.
not at an official SXSW
You
location.
can't even say the
I
letters.
don't give a shit.
We
At
just
this
got
point.
sued. We just got sued.
Let me tell you how much I do not give a fuck.
I said
By the way, the best was we remove all branding. We don't say a word, and everyone that was talking about our event uses the goddamn letters. Like, what
I mean,
is
you
going
have
on?
to. Like it's
so bad.
it doesn't. It's one of those things.
It's one of those things.
So
It's all
ridiculous.
about
Can
the
you tell they've been
research
on
you said.
camera for the past like 4 hours?
All right, so this was
5
this
hours?
was
We're
absolutely
still cranking.
this was fire. This was
Yeah.
absolutely fire. So thank you to our good friend Michael and Sean from Entre.
Wait, before we
Wait,
do that, before we end
before
it,
what?
like if you're on Entre, which you are if you're watching this, you have to know that Michael and Sean are like exceptional human beings.
Yes.
So you're not just supporting a platform that's helping you connect with founders and funders and get introduced to other people and grow your network with other people growing companies. The people behind it are phenomenal.
They're real.
They're great virtually. They're even better in person. So you should feel good about that because they're spectacular.
And
Yeah.
we are working on planning New York already for Pitch Lift,
Yeah.
which we would love to work with the guys at Entre because
Yes.
they have shown us the way relative to events in a lot of cases. So
It's been
can't wait to hang with you. Maybe we do this in New York.
Oh, we're
in
gonna
June.
do it in
We
New
do
100%,
another live
100%,
stream.
Without a doubt.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
We literally, this is episode 2 in New York in a
Yes.
couple months. So
Yes.
thanks to everybody for joining the Vibes and Venture podcast.
Like, share, and subscribe.
Like, share, and subscribe only on Entre, and we'll see everybody soon. Peace.
Cheers.
See you
Thanks,
guys.
guys.
Thanks.
We should do like this for Vibes and